great. Invention is great. However, what we are really looking for is innovation and value creation. Then what is a value creation? It is a shift of customer experiences. And the customer could be government, could be corporate, or students. We do have all the kinds of customers on this planet.
The biggest challenge in what I've been working on for the last almost 20 years is how to identify the right teams with the right technologies that are there at the right time with the right policy making, right regulatory regime. All these things are very difficult to anticipate.
I think innovation will only be utilized if it brings the business appreciate the value that the innovation will bring to the business.
It's a really hard thing how to come from the research and from the knowledge in order to value creation. Think about the future. We started looking at how the future is being created, not just how the levers are being applied, and what are the global conversations that are shaping the future. And not just looking at trends, but what are the interests and the concerns that are driving those trends.
About a decade ago, when people were looking at the translation, wherever it was invented, they were looking at the translation. It was almost like it was a linear process, and there were different agents at different ends of the line. And it was often portrayed that universities were on one side of the line and investors were closer to the customer. And actually what's happened is this has become a much more dynamic process.
We need to be intentional about building the future. That's the message that I take, but we need to understand the different views that are in play when we do that.
We were in a place where we kind of always had to kind of fight our way up to show that we were really part of the venture model. That has significantly changed over the last couple of years, in particular because of the extraordinary emphasis on globally on how we're going to deal with climate change. And that has become such an enormous impetus to helping innovation in the form of all the right forces coming together at a pivotal time.
Innovation cannot be done by ourselves. We have to engage many stakeholders. And in fact, invention itself does not achieve, frankly, expected result. Actually, invention multiplied by perhaps stakeholder engagement and so business model and also willingness to change. And all those components have to be kind of packaged as a business model really to deliver the results.
What we can do, both inside the university and through the partnerships that we've got, is build really interesting interdisciplinary, inter-organizational teams, which can enable us to focus on how we pull through innovation through the system to make sure it gets to the end user.
You could build a business case. It all at the end comes down to people. So having the right people with the right skill set and who are willing to go the extra mile. Because in my personal opinion, one of the most important factors that are actually, whether we succeed or fail, is actually change management and the culture. Because that's one of the main barriers to changing how things are done. Because it's a network, a chain of assumptions that are linked together and that they self-reproduce. And that's also important for thinking about the future. Those assumptions make you think of some futures and makes you blind to other possible emergent futures.